Ladies and gentlemen, holy shit, man. We got a lot to get into for AEW Blood and Guts. Great show tonight. I thought this is a great show, top to bottom. Joseph Conlon here to review Blood and Guts. I'm very happy to review the Blood and Guts show here tonight. Had a lot to talk about. Obviously, we just saw the Inner Circle and Pinnacle stuff on the in the Blood and Guts match. Absolutely insane. I would probably have to say that is up there for one of my favorite matches of the year. No doubt. No doubt one of my favorite matches of the year thus far. We are definitely going to talk about that last. But, ladies and gentlemen, I don't want to waste any more time. We're going to bring them on here right now. You already know. You already know. What's going on, brother?
What's going on, man? Blood and Guts came and went tonight, man. And, man, it was brutal, it was bloody, and it was amazing. Now, I know some people out there thought the ending was a little wonky. I see what you mean there, and we'll get into that as we go on with this review. Man, what a show tonight. What a show we have next week with three title matches set up, man. It's going to be amazing. But we're here to talk about Blood and Guts. We're going to talk about the war that just ensued inside those two rings, covered on by that gigantic, brutal metal steel cage.
Unbelievable, man. I honestly feel like if you were trying to take notes during this match, good luck with keeping up with everything that was happening in the match. But we have more to talk about than the Blood and Guts match tonight. We're going to do so right now. But if you haven't already, be sure to go check out my Monday Night Raw review from Monday and NXT from last night, just to get those out of the way. But, man, are you ready to review the Blood and Guts show?
Man, I've been ready for over a year, man. Blood and Guts, it finally came. And let's talk about it, Joseph, right here on Big Fight Field, my friend.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, we actually started out the show with a tag team match, player. It was Kenny Omega and MT Nakazawa against Jon Moxley and Eddie Kingston. Now, Don Callis came out in the beginning of the match, and he's like, unfortunately, Kenny Omega is not here tonight, and it is going to be Nakazawa in a handicap match. Obviously, this was set up. Omega attacked Moxley and Kingston to start the match. This was not really much happened here, I would say, in this match. Moxley and Kingston won the defense here from Omega's offense. Nakazawa was in there a little bit. Then Moxley gets the hot tag from Kingston. Nakazawa's in there. Omega is like, screw this, I'm out of here. And he runs away from the match. Moxley and Kingston beat up on Nakazawa. They get themselves the win. After the match, the Young Bucks come out. They face to face with Mox and Kingston, and they get attacked by the Good Brothers from behind. And the Young Bucks get in on the attack, and Nakazawa. You got Brandon Cutler out there, who's a cameraman. You got Kenny Omega, who was out there as well, and they put a beating on Eddie Kingston and Jon Moxley. So it seems like it is all but confirmed at this point with the trailer incident and all that stuff. It is basically all but confirmed at this point. We are seeing Jon Moxley and Eddie Kingston for Jon Moxley and Eddie Kingston challenging the tag team champions, the Young Bucks, at Double or Nothing. And by the way, I was thinking about saving it for Saturday, for the weekend's podcast, but I figured we'd talk about it here tonight. Double or Nothing, confirmed by Tony Khan on Busted Open Radio today, is going to be a full capacity show. 5,500 people are going to be rocking in Daly's Place. I wish I could go, but I will probably watch it in the comfort of my own home, which I'm okay with, because I was just at WrestleMania. So, but man, that just feels so good to say. Full capacity show. But what do you think about the opening match, the attack by the Young Bucks to start off Blood and Guts?
Yeah, this was a decent little tag here. Not much to really take out, but the bigger story was after the match with the attack on Moxley and Kingston from the Super Elites with the Good Brothers and the Young Bucks and Kenny. Yeah, I think it's becoming very clear that we're going to get Moxley and Kingston versus the Young Bucks at Double or Nothing, which I'm very much looking forward to. But before that, we do, and we're going to get into this later on in the review, but next week we do have the Young Bucks facing SCU for the AEW Tag Team titles. So that will be the first little pit stop before we even get into Moxley and Kingston versus the Young Bucks at Double or Nothing. But I am looking forward to that eventual tag match when it does happen on May 30th. I'm sure they will confirm it within the coming weeks heading in to May 30th, but this decent little tag, not much to take out of it. A good way to start us off here on Blood and Guts.
Yeah. Now let me get your thoughts on the full capacity show for Double or Nothing.
Full capacity, man. Full capacity. I love those two words. Full capacity. Isn't it a beautiful thing?
It is. It really is.
Daly's Place, full capacity, 5,500 loud, screaming AEW fans gonna be live. I wish I could be there live. I'm probably gonna be watching Double or Nothing from the comfort of my own home as well. But man, all the talks have come out with them starting touring again, possibly in July. It looks like that's the set plan, according to Jim Ross. And man, I'm telling you, man, when they make their way back around here in the parts of Memphis, I've got to get myself ringside. I'm talking ringside tickets. And I have missed live wrestling so much, man. I mean, it's been away for way too long now, and man, I just cannot wait for that full capacity crowd on May 30th to make as much noise as possible. I mean, the crowd we had here tonight at Blood and Guts made a lot of noise, man. I love the crowd tonight. They were really active. I mean, why wouldn't you be for a big show such as this, man? And Double or Nothing's going to be even bigger with a full capacity crowd. Love it, man. I love that we're finally getting back to pretty much a normal stage at this point. It's about time, and I'm so ready for it.
Absolutely, man. The crowd was on fire, and the crowd was on fire for the next match as well, which was Cody Rhodes versus QT Marshall. It is Marshall, not Marshall. This was a really good match. I'm not going to deny that. Really good match between Marshall and Cody Rhodes. The crowd was fully behind Cody here. Cody got the win. Almost got pinned by his own move, the Crossroads, which QT hit, and Cody kicked out. Then Cody, later on, he hit his own Crossroads onto QT Marshall, which QT kicked out. Then Cody, I really liked the ending of this match. So what happened was Cody was helping up QT. He picked him up with his hand, and he was basically giving peace to QT, and QT flipped him off. He gave him the finger. So Cody put him in the figure four. He tapped out. Cody wins. Cody comes up all bleeding and stuff like that. I don't know how he was bleeding or whatnot, but this was a really good match. I enjoyed it. This was probably the best thing to happen in the Nightmare Family and the Factory rivalry so far, in my opinion. Really good match. I enjoyed it. The ending resulted in Anthony Ogogo running down and giving Cody a gut punch right to the stomach. Crowd was booing Ogogo heavily. He laid his British flag over Cody Rhodes, and we could be getting a match in the future between Cody Rhodes and Anthony Ogogo, and I will not be surprised if that match takes place at Double or Nothing. As a matter of fact, I do think that match is going to take place at Double or Nothing. But what did you think about this match? Cody and QT, do you have the same feeling about it that I had? The floor is yours.
Yeah, absolutely. This was a very nice match. Cody and QT worked really well together here. We've been known to talk about on this podcast this whole feud, with the Nightmare Family and the Factory. It's kind of dead. It's kind of the bottom of the barrel, really. But this was very nice, though. Cody picks up the win over QT. The visual of Cody bleeding from the eye, I don't know how that happened either, but it looked really cool. I thought it added more to the overall ending of the match. And then Anthony Ogogo, him coming out, yeah, I agree with you. I think we're probably going to end up getting Anthony Ogogo and Cody at Double or Nothing. Cody is making his announcement next week concerning what he will be doing on May 30th. So we shall see what happens with that. But I'm still not fully invested in this whole storyline. Hopefully with this match that will probably inevitably happen with Ogogo and Cody. We'll see more out of Anthony Ogogo's move arsenal rather than just a gut punch. I get that they're trying to sell his boxing background, but I'd like to see a little bit more out of him rather than just a simple punch to the liver. So we'll see what happens, but it should be interesting to see going forward.
Yeah, I completely forgot that Cody was making an announcement. So yeah, definitely that match is basically it's 100% going to happen at Double or Nothing now. So we'll have to see what happens with that match going on. Next, we had an interview with Alex Marvez. He interviewed Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page. They were interviewed on the nosebleeds, all the way up in the nosebleed section. Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page. Sky was talking about Sting. Ethan Page was talking about Darby Allin. Darby Allin went to attack both these guys. They were fighting all the way up in the nosebleeds, and Darby's getting a lot of offense on Ethan Page. Scorpio Sky then comes running over, hits him with a trash can. They get a lot of offense on Darby Allin, and my God, is Darby Allin gonna wrestle past 30 years old with these crazy spots? Is he really gonna make it to 30? Like, in wrestling. Like, I know he's young right now, but my God, this dude loves killing himself. I swear to God. Ethan Page threw Darby Allin off concrete stairs in Daly's place. And the tumble that Darby took looked very, very painful. Very painful, man. So, my God, what do you have to say about this?
Yeah, I'm with you there. Darby Allin, I don't know how he's not just completely dead yet. I don't know, man. This guy, like, literally, I think he just goes up to Tony Khan every week. He's like, hey, man, can you find a new way to just kill me? Just find a new way to kill me. I will give you actually some ideas. I shoot some videos on Instagram. I will give you some ideas. But I don't know, man. This was great. I mean, it was great, but it was also so brutal to watch because I'm like, Darby, why? Just why? You have to do this to yourself all the time. But I get that he's a daredevil. You know, he's a resilient babyface, and I mean that's what we love about Darby Allin, man. He's honest. It's obvious here that Darby Allin is so over. You know, he's honestly one of the most over talents in all of AEW, and it showed in the ratings too. You know, seeing all these spikes in ratings happening. You know, with Darby Allin being in the main event scene with the TNT Title Open Challenge and everything. I mean, you know, Darby is definitely one of the biggest rising stars in this entire company, and of course, you know, we're all just fully behind him, man, and I love it. But I'm still unsure where this whole storyline is going with Darby, Scorpio Sky, Ethan Page, and Sting. I imagine maybe we'll get a tag match out of it since Page and Sky are pushed as a tag team now. Maybe Lance Archer, of course, is involved in all this as well. So, and we didn't see any neither Archer nor Sting tonight, so that was very interesting. Sting probably might have been selling the attacks from last week from Sky and Page, but yeah, brutal assault on Darby Allin, and then next week we got Darby Allin versus Miro for the TNT title, which will be very interesting to see as we learn about that later on.
Yes, I'm actually going to talk about that later. And you pitched a tag team match. I'm gonna talk about that when we get to the Miro segment. But yeah, man, moving on, we had Dr. Brett Baker Dmd. She won a squash match. This was basically a showcase match for her, so we don't really have to talk about the match here. But it is all but confirmed, May 30th, she's challenging Hikaru Shida for the AEW Women's Championship. The Doctor needs to be the Women's Champion. With the biggest crowd in Daly's Place since the pandemic so far, with her reaction, yeah, she is way more over than she was pre-pandemic as a babyface. Let me tell you, man, she was really over tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've been saying it so much on Twitter. Hey, Britt Baker is your next AEW Women's World Champion. If she doesn't win on May 30th, AEW is doing a complete disservice to Britt Baker. I mean, she has worked so hard to get this far, and I've grown on her so much more throughout this entire time period of her transitioning from a babyface to a heel, and how she has just bettered herself on the mic, in the ring even too. I've been more impressed by her in the ring, of course, and this is her time. She has proven that this is her time. Hikaru Shida, she's had a good reign. She's had a very long one too. And I commend Shida on that, but it's time for Brett Baker to take charge of the AEW Women's Division and to be the leader as the new AEW Women's World Champion come May 30th.
Yeah, absolutely. No ifs, ands, or buts. Britt Baker needs to walk out of that show as the Women's Champion. Fatal 4-way match. I thought this was an elimination. It was not. But we had the top 4 tag teams in AEW compete in a number 1 contender match for a tag team title match that is going to happen, next week on Dynamite. We had SCU, Jurassic Express, the Varsity Blondes, and the Acclaimed, who, man, their rap to the ring tonight was that Dark Side of the Ring reference to Brian Pillman. My God.
Yeah, man, I would say this. Max Caster is gold. I mentioned that on Twitter tonight, too, man. I've become more and more of a fan of the Acclaim. I'm watching them on Dark and on Elevation as well. These guys are so freaking good. They're great in the ring, too, but, man, I'm telling you, when we get a full capacity crowd, if they have some sort of role at Double or Nothing, and with that full crowd with 5,500 people, they're going to be white hot when the Acclaim, if the Acclaim end up coming out and doing another rap. But tonight's rap, man, yeah, that whole Dark Side of the Ring reference, man, oh boy, that might have been Max Caster's best, one-liner yet, since he's been doing the whole raps thing. But, and by the way, I will definitely be watching Vice tomorrow, the 2-hour season premiere.
Yes.
With Brian Pillman, man. I'm definitely tuning in. I've been waiting for a season 3 for so long, man. I cannot wait to tune in tomorrow night.
Yes, sir. And now that you brought that up, I'm going to advertise it right here. The Dark Side of the Ring reviews are coming back on the Big Fight Fuel channel. Tomorrow night, we are reviewing that 2-part documentary for Brian Pillman. So be sure to tune into that. Brian Pillman was actually wearing his father's tights, if you realize that tonight. His father's ring gear. But for what it was, I thought this was a very good tag team match. The match was put in a bad slot because I'm like, okay, I like these teams, but I just want to see the blood and guts match, these teams were put in a bad spot. SCU won, of course. The most beautiful moonsault, I think is what they call it. Daniels hits it on Pillman, and he gets the win. They're going to face the Young Bucks for the tag team titles next week, and this is it. This is their last match as a tag team. Christopher Daniels has a big role backstage, I believe, in AEW. And this is probably his last match, and this is probably who he wants to face. He probably wants to face the Young Bucks in his last match ever. So, kudos to him on a great career. But I'm excited for the match next week. It should be good. No question the Young Bucks retain. And what do you think about this Fatal 4-Way?
Yeah, I thought it was a fun 4-way for what it was. Very predictable outcome. We all pretty much knew it was going to be SCU and the Young Bucks next week. But regardless, I'm very much looking forward to the match next week. And like you said, Joseph, this is the end of the road for Frankie Kazarian and Christopher Daniels. Now, after this match, I could very well see a one-on-one match with Kazarian and Daniels at Double or Nothing. This may not be completely the end just yet, but as far as the tag team goes, they're done next week. I'm very interested to see how the Young Bucks, heal it up with Frankie Kazarian and Christopher Daniels no longer being his tag team. I'm sure they'll do something to get themselves booed, but it's going to be very interesting to watch. I'm very much looking forward to the match next week.
Yeah, I don't see Daniels and Kazarian facing each other because it looks like we already have a plethora of matches that are probably going to happen at Double or Nothing. So if they're going to face each other, I could see that being on Dynamite. So I don't see that match happening at Double or Nothing, but we're going to get to the final 2 segments that happened, and then we're going to talk about the Blood and Guts match. But before we got to get to these 2 segments, Tony Schiavone was standing in front of the cage, and he introduced Kenny Omega, who had all of his belts. He actually was holding the AEW World Championship. Michael Nakazawa was holding the 3 belts. So for tonight, Michael Nakazawa was the AAA World Champion and the Impact Wrestling World Champion. Your thoughts on the new Impact Champion tonight?
Yeah, I guess Omega was like, here, have the titles. I don't care. Nakazawa, man, he's the real draw. Talking about here. Yeah, I mean, we're talking about Kenny Omega being the belt collector. I mean, why are we talking about Michael Nakazawa? Don't you think he's coming for that AEW World Title next? I mean, come on, But this segment here, culminated. We've seen, of course, Shivani announced next week. We will see Pac versus Orange Cassidy 1-on-1, the 2 top-ranked contenders in the singles division. They will go head-to-head, a rematch from last year's Revolution pay-per-view, which by far one of the best matches of the year for me. I think it was like an honorable mention, at least for me, for 2020. But yeah, we're going to see that next week. Whoever wins faces Kenny Omega for the world title at Double or Nothing. This segment pretty much gave it away, the result for next week, without actually saying it. But regardless, I'm very much excited for Pac versus Orange Cassidy next week, and inevitably, it looks like we're going to be getting Orange Cassidy and Kenny Omega at Double or Nothing, which is going to be awesome, and I'm very happy for Orange Cassidy for getting a big spot like this. And, I'm telling you, man, there's going to be some salty fans in the IWC crying about this match, and, man, it's going to be so great to see all those tears just flowing on social media, man, when this match happens, and it's going to end up being probably one of the best matches of the whole night.
I got a lot to say about this. First off, I thought the segment was gold. I loved that Orange Cassidy did absolutely nothing when Omega took the sunglasses and he put on Nakazawa. He's like, he looks more like a champion than you do. And the whole funny reference where he said it's going to be Pac versus who? I really liked Omega's heelness in this, but I'm going to promise you this. Once my guy, I have been a Orange Cassidy fan since Dynamite started, okay? Once my guy Orange Cassidy beats Pac next week and he gets the shot at the World Championship at Double or Nothing, I'm going to have a cold bottle of water here. I'm going to drink all of the tears in the wrestling community, and I'm going to do it with a smile on my face because I think Orange Cassidy versus Kenny Omega is an excellent idea. Why is that? This show, Double or Nothing, is going to be full capacity. Again, full capacity. And can you imagine the reaction when Orange Cassidy is having his big comeback in the main event of Double or Nothing, and the crowd is popping, and he does his spinning DDT, and he brings Omega to the brisk of losing the World Championship. Can you imagine that crowd reaction? The crowd, how behind they're going to be for Orange Cassidy to beat Kenny Omega. That is going to be amazing. That's what I'm looking forward to. Yes, Pac and Kenny Omega could absolutely tear it up in the main event, no question. But if you ask me, who would you rather see? Would you rather see Pac and Omega, or would you rather see Orange Cassidy and Omega? I would rather see Orange Cassidy, just for the reason that I gave you. I don't think Pac would get that same crowd reaction as Orange Cassidy would. No way, shape, or form is Orange Cassidy going to beat Kenny Omega for the World Championship. Part of me wishes he would, but I highly doubt that happens. So don't get scared that Omega is losing the World Championship. But out of the two, who should win next week's match, to me, it is very obvious. Orange Cassidy wins. Orange Cassidy challenges Omega at Double or Nothing. Orange Cassidy brings Omega to the brisk of defeat, and he ultimately loses. That's what I'm going with.
Yeah, I mean, people I feel like tend to forget, remember, I just mentioned it a minute ago. Last year, Pac versus Orange Cassidy, people were crapping all over it heading into it, thinking like, oh, what is this guy doing in a match with Pac? Why is he on the pay-per-view? And then what happened? What happened when that match happened?
He shocked the world.
It shocked the world. It was one of the best matches of the entire night. I'd say I put it like right behind the Young Bucks versus Kenny Omega and Hangman Page because, of course, as we all know, that was by far the best match in all of 2020. I mean, and I know not everybody will agree with that statement, but I mean, how can you find a better match than that from 2020, especially with a full capacity crowd at that point? But Pac and Orange Cassidy tore it up. So what makes you think that Kenny Omega and Orange Cassidy won't do the same thing at Double or Nothing? And I'm telling you, man, with 5,500 people fill up Daly's place, and you see Orange Cassidy, like you mentioned, that big babyface comeback, it is going to be electric. That crowd is going to be on their feet, losing their minds. Kenny Omega, I love that. I love the segment with Kenny Omega, mocking Orange Cassidy, thinking, you're no threat to me. And then come Double or Nothing, Orange Cassidy's going to shock Kenny Omega, and Omega's going to be floored by it, and he's going to, have to claw and scratch and do everything he can to try and put Orange Cassidy down. And then, like you mentioned, Orange Cassidy, he won't be winning the world title. It's not happening. Omega is going to be holding that title for many more months, and we're going to continue to see the belt collector continue to collect all the belts in wrestling. But I'm very much excited for this. I know for sure my father, who is the biggest Orange Cassidy mark you will find in wrestling, he is my dad's favorite wrestler. My dad, I don't know, he's out of town right now. I'm guessing he was probably watching the show from a hotel room, but if he was, I know he's very much excited for Orange Cassidy and Kenny Omega on May 30th, man, and it's going to be awesome.
Well, you and me and your father have very similarities because Orange Cassidy is also my favorite wrestler in the entire world right now. So, and he has been since 2019, even before he had the match with Pac. So, don't underestimate Orange Cassidy, folks, and be prepared for all the tears in the wrestling community once Orange Cassidy beats Pac and he goes on to Double or Nothing next week.
Jim Cornette, I know you're already complaining on your podcast.
Oh my God.
Jim Cornette's already crying about it. I know he's going to be crying about it. That's one person that comes to mind. Jim Cornette's going to be crying in his little room about Kenny Omega and Orange Cassidy, but I love it, man. I'm just laughing about it as I look upon it.
Next, we had another interview with Tony Schiavone. This time it was Miro. This one was simple. It was right to the point. Miro was like, since day one, my destiny has been to win championships. And on this contract, it says, in 7 days, I will get my chance. Darby Allin, I will see you next week for the TNT Championship. Then Tony Schiavone says, well, with Darby's condition, if he doesn't show up next week, he will forfeit the title. And Miro's like, no, there's no forfeits. There's no forfeits for the TNT Championship. You show up next week for the TNT Championship. I'm really looking forward to this. I'm going to get my thoughts on it, and then I'll give it to you. Miro versus Darby Allin. Darby has had a great reign as the TNT champion. He's had wonderful, successful title defenses the past couple weeks. Last week, he defeated 10 of the Dark Order. I love Darby Allin. He's one of my favorites in the world, just like Orange Cassidy. But Darby Allin is going into this match less than 100%. I don't think AEW should blow this opportunity with Miro. I think Miro needs to become the TNT champion next week. I think we need to see Miro absolutely decimate Darby Allin. You can even do it similar to when Brody Lee squashed Cody for the TNT Championship all the way back in August. I would be totally okay if you do that. You can have Miro squash Darby in about 2 minutes, because who's going to believe Darby Allin, who's probably 50% or whatever, gets thrown off the stairs? No way is he going to be 100% for the match next week. It's just not believable for me to believe that a way less than 100% Darby Allin is going to beat this monster in Miro. I just can't see it happening. I don't believe that for a second. I think Miro needs to become the new TNT champion. No Kip Sabian costing Miro the match. None of that bullshit. Just have Miro beat Darby. Have him dominate the match. And boom. You got yourself a new TNT champion in Miro. So I am going with Miro to win the TNT title next week.
Well, Joseph, I'm going to have to 100% agree with you. I think now is the time you shoot your shot with Miro. Now that he's away from Kip Sabian, now that that stupid storyline is over with Miro and Kip Sabian and Penelope Ford. This is now the time to pull the trigger fully on Miro. He's a monster. He's ready to be unleashed. And I feel like next week we will see that monster officially really unleashed against Darby Allin. Like you mentioned, as Darby Allin, he's not 100%. We saw him fall down concrete stairs, for goodness sake. There's no way he's 100% come next week. He's going to show up. He'll probably get squashed. We could very well see another Brody Lee, Cody Rhodes-esque kind of situation here again. We could very well see that. I mean, also the visual is kind of there. You know how Miro with the game over, I believe that's what he calls the accolade now. It used to be called the accolade. You know how he rears back and he pulls back their opponent's body.
Yes.
Like they're bending. Don't you think like the visual is there right there from Miro and Darby Allin? I mean, Darby Allin, the way he sells his body and stuff too. I mean, like it sells itself right there. I mean, that the visual is just right there in front of me. I can see it definitely happening. And I think next week, man, we're in for a new TNT champion. Also, it kind of gives a better excuse now for a possible Darby Allin and Sting tag match with Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky, because Darby, I'm sure, would want his revenge on Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky for doing what they did to him, which ultimately would cost him the team's title next week. So it makes sense in storyline sense. So we shall see what happens, but I'm right there with you, Joseph. Miro is your new TNT champion after next week.
Yes, absolutely. It needs to happen. I know Miro he's only been in AEW for, I think, 8 months. But remember when Brian Cage challenged Jon Moxley for the World Championship? And he challenged him, and then after that, it felt like he lost all of his momentum. I think that if Miro does not win the TNT champ, or Lance Archer when he lost to Cody, if Miro does not win the TNT championship next week, we are looking at another Brian Cage situation, I think. I don't want to say that, but I think it's true. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so too. And also, it would be super lame if Kip Sabian, of all people, comes out and costs the match. I mean, like, no one wants to see a Miro versus Kip Sabian match. I guarantee you nobody wants to see that happen, and they definitely don't want to see it happen at Double or Nothing if that were the case. But this is how it should go. Miro comes out next week, destroys Darby Allin, becomes new TNT champion. We see that monster unleashed in Miro. I mean, this is a deserved opportunity for him as well, because as much as he's fought and clawed and is scratched his way to try and make a big name for himself and try to really stand out among everybody else, I mean, this is a great opportunity to pull the trigger right on him. I mean, you've got pretty much a gold mine right there in Miro. I mean, he can pretty much do all he can do. He can do comedy. He can be fierce. I mean, he can do pretty much all of it. And, of course, right now we're seeing him as this monster, and I feel like this is where you want to pull the trigger. Like you mentioned, Brian Cage, Lance Archer, they didn't pull the trigger on those guys. This is another monster that you have on your hands right here that you did right in this moment, you need to pull the trigger on. So I believe Miro will be, again, TNT champion after next week, as he will destroy Darby Allin.
Yes, absolutely. Miro needs to win the TNT championship. Next week's lineup, we are looking at Miro and Darby Allin for the TNT championship, SCU versus the Young Bucks for the tag team titles, a number one contender match between Pac and Orange Cassidy, and the IWGP United States Championship on the line with Yuji Nagata versus Jon Moxley. Now tell me we are not spoiled. Tell me we are not spoiled, AEW fans. We got blood and guts this week, and next week's card looks better than this week, if I'm going to be honest with you. This was a great show tonight, but my God, next week, man, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me, Wes?
That package for Nagata and Moxley tonight was so hype, man. I mean, I don't know how you could have hyped it any better, man. I cannot wait. I mean, the IWGP US title is going to be defended on AEW Dynamite. I mean, who thought we were going to see this in 2021? I mean, I certainly didn't. But here we are, man. Nagata, Moxley, that's another thing that's going to be just blowing the minds of everybody, man. Like, we got the New Japan, AEW colliding. We got Impact and AEW and NWA. I mean, it's all coming full circle, my man. And I mean, it's so great to see, man. I mean, we're still like getting to the halfway point of 2021. I mean, what is the second half of 2021 have in store for us fans with AEW?
No idea, man. No idea. But Are you ready to talk about Blood and Guts?
Yes, I am ready, my friend.
My God. So we had this Blood and Guts match. 2 rings, 1 cage. The cage was covered with a rooftop. The Pinnacle were wearing white, and the Inner Circle were wearing black. Dax Harwood and Sammy Guevara started the match. Already, Dax Harwood was being thrown into the cage. Hot offense. The crowd was super hot for this match. Could you have imagined this match in front of a sold-out crowd? This was 1,500 people. Could you imagine this match in front of 12,000 people? My God.
It makes me just miss the pre-pandemic AEW Diamond shows even more, man. I mean, just remembering the roar of the crowd. I mean, I'm talking for like every Dynamite show. I mean, you had a red-hot crowd ready to just eat everything up. I mean, it adds so much. That's what I mean with the fans. You know, they add so much to a wrestling show, and they really added here tonight, even with just what was it, 1,500 people in attendance. I mean, just with that capacity alone, they added so much more to this Blood and Guts match, which was just brutal in every sense of the word.
Absolutely, man. So, already before the next guy comes in, Dax Harwood is bleeding from his head. And Shawn Spears comes in with a chair. Ortiz comes in next. One of the craziest spots in this match. You have Sammy Guevara standing on the ropes on one ring. Shawn Spears standing in the other ring. Ortiz throws a chair at Shawn Spears. Shawn Spears, he gets hit by the chair. He jumps to the other ring with Sammy Guevara. And Sammy Guevara hits a Spanish fly off the top rope, like in the middle of the rope, to Shawn Spears. That spot was insane. I don't even know what to say.
By far one of the top spots in this entire match. I mean, the second that was executed, I'm like, oh my gosh! Like, I think right then there, I was already just saying, like, Sammy Guevara is the MVP in this whole entire thing. I mean, Sammy Guevara is such an incredible talent, man. And I mean, I'm not discrediting Shawn Spears either. Shawn Spears is very solid in his own right, but man, Sammy Guevara, I mean, I'm telling you, maybe it won't happen in 2021, but 2022, man, I feel like that's definitely going to be the year Sammy Guevara really, really starts to take off, like, big time. Like, I'm talking like world title pictures and all that stuff.
Absolutely. So, it's too hard to keep it all in your mind. What were some of the big spots in this match?
Well, another spot involving Sammy Guevara, the coast to coast. I mean, like, we've all seen Shane McMahon do the coast to coast for many, many years. We've all seen it, but Sammy Guevara, the coast to coast he had tonight was picture perfect. I don't know if you could have gotten a more perfect coast to coast than that. I mean, he leaped so far and then just got the drop kick right in on Shawn Spears with the chair. I mean, it was just like boom, boom, just 1-2, just beautiful. I mean, seeing just the visuals of everybody bleeding. I mean, that's what Blood and Guts is, man. Seeing all that blood. We were in. I mean, we literally had a parental discretion is advised warning before the show even started.
Yes.
That to show you we were in for some brutality, and we certainly got that. The bloody visuals were amazing. When MJF got on the top, when I saw that, and the one big complaint I will say about this match, nope, it should have been commercial free. We shouldn't have gotten 3 commercial breaks. That really irked me.
Can I stop you there for a second?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I did not like that as well. 3 commercial. This was probably your biggest match in AEW since the Jon Moxley Kenny Omega Winners Coming match. And you have 3 commercial breaks in this match. And it's just not any commercial breaks. You had main points in this match. Like in the second commercial break, you had FTR tearing up FTR tearing up the left side of the ring, the mats. Like, I don't know why you were on commercial for that. And then the third time you're on break, you have Tully Blanchard attack Bryce Remsburg, take the key away, and you have Tully Blanchard dragging MJF out of the Blood and Guts cage, and he's climbing up the cage during the commercial. And I was like, that's some of the biggest spots, especially the Tully Blanchard helping MJF to get to the top of the cage. That was probably one of the biggest spots in the match, and it was during a commercial, picture-in-picture. So I don't know if this is going to happen, but I truly hope AEW uploads the full match onto their YouTube channel. I don't know if it's going to happen, but it's just a simple request from me.
Yeah, that was the one big flaw. That the only thing I'll really just complain about with this match was the fact that we had 3 commercial breaks. I mean, I literally just groaned every time. I'm like, oh, come on. I mean, of this match of all matches, Blood and Guts, man. I mean, this should be commercial break. I mean, I think it's mainly a TNT thing. You know, I guess we can't really blame AEW too much because it's probably more so a network thing, but it's still just really lame. I mean, you shouldn't have commercial breaks for big moments. I mean, you'll have opening matches on these shows that don't get commercial breaks. Like, why can't Blood and Guts just not get commercial breaks? You know, I just don't really get that. But other than that, though, I mean, amazing match. Another spot that really stuck out to me was the double pile driver spot with Santana Ortiz on FTR with Sammy Guevara with the assist. That was beautiful on the wooden planks, by the way, not even like the regular rings, the wooden planks underneath the ring. That was beautiful to see. And yeah, when MJF got on top of that cage, I'm for a second there, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, someone is going to go through the cage, isn't it? Like I thought maybe for a second we're getting an Undertaker, Mick Foley, Hell in a Cell spot, and I'm like, oh gosh, and we eventually did get to that big spot at the end where, you know, Sammy Guevara told MJF that we surrender just so MJF couldn't throw Chris Jericho off the cage, but he ended up doing it anyway. And some people on Twitter were talking about it as kind of an anticlimactic finish. I understand where they're coming from with that. It wasn't the most like sought after finish, wasn't the most like breathtaking finish ever. But regardless, I'm not going to really crap on it too much. I mean, I still adore the match. It really shouldn't take away from the overall match, in my opinion, as well. I mean, it definitely wasn't no AEW Revolution done with the explosion. It ain't anything like that. Thank the Lord. Yeah, it ain't that bad. I mean, we didn't get on Twitter tonight and people were, like, losing their minds and, like, crapping all over the whole entire main event. But this was still amazing for what it was. I mean, all those guys, I commend all 10 men in this. I mean, this was just brutality at its finest, and I'm so happy that we finally got this match after not getting it last year what we were promised with the Inner Circle and the Elite. It obviously didn't happen due to unforeseen circumstances, but we finally got it tonight. I'm a very happy wrestling fan at the end of it, and this was brutal. This was fun, and I'm satisfied.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about the ending now. Did I like it? Not really, but I'm not going to take away the fact that the match was absolutely insane, and it was probably one of my favorite matches of the year, up there with the Lights Out match with Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa. You had the Triple Threat match at WrestleMania. There's a lot of good matches. I'm definitely going to put this match up there. I think the one I think they could have done better with the camera angle. They showed the camera on where Chris Jericho was going to fall, and it was very clear that it was all padding where Jericho fell. I think what you could have done is you could have kept the camera on MJF the entire time, and a little glimpse of Jericho getting medical attention and having so many people out there to try to help him. But I think they got the camera angle bad. But the Pinnacle won after Sammy Guevara surrendered for the Inner Circle. And now, I guess since Chris Jericho is injured after that spot, something that I could see happening at the pay-per-view is MJF versus Sammy Guevara. Now, I know, I saw your facial reaction there.
I love the sound of that. I really love the sound of that match.
MJF and Sammy. MJF was the main reason why Sammy Guevara quit the Inner Circle all the way back in February. And he's been a thorn to Sammy Guevara and very annoying to him. And I think the next couple weeks, MJF can make fun of, because I'm going to be honest with you, I don't think anybody, some might, but if you were to do MJF and Chris Jericho again at Double or Nothing, I don't know how that would come off to some people, but I legit feel like people want to see Sammy Guevara kick MJF's ass, because MJF can make fun of how Sammy Guevara had to surrender for Chris Jericho, and Guevara could be like, you know what, I'm going into Double or Nothing, I'm going to kick your ass, and I'm going to do this for Chris Jericho and stuff like that. And heck, if you want Sammy Guevara to beat MJF, I would have no problem with that. But I do think that's the next direction this feud goes. I don't think the feud's over whatsoever. Even Chris Jericho said the feud is not over. This is only the beginning. And I think the next step is a match at Double or Nothing between MJF, Sammy Guevara, which I have no problem with whatsoever.
Yeah, I love the sound of that. I can definitely see the feud going into that, MJF versus Sammy Guevara, Double or Nothing. I mean, that right there in itself, I mean, that's guaranteed to be one of the best matches of that entire card. Sammy Guevara, I mean, you heard the Sammy chants tonight, man. I mean, he is super over right now.
People love him.
People love him. He's one of the biggest future stars of this company. I mean, you got him, you got Darby Allin, you got Jungle Boy, you got all this talent, all this future talent here. And yet, there's people in the community that would say, oh, AEW pushes on the older guys like Jake Roberts and Odin Anderson and Chris Jericho. Really? So who's pulling in some of those ratings week in and week? But I think I mentioned earlier in the review, Darby Allin has been one of the main selling points of AEW Diamond, but people don't pay attention to details. People don't pay attention to facts. They'd rather go online and complain. Meanwhile, people like us are paying attention to the facts, we're paying attention to the ratings, we're paying attention to all of it, because we're in tune, we're in sync. And then MJF and Sammy Guevara, I mean, it sounds great, and I love the idea. MJF, I can totally see coming out next week being like, Sammy Guevara is a little wimp for calling a surrender for the inner circle. I can totally see all that happening, and I'm very much a fan of the idea. I'm glad you brought that up, because I can definitely see the feud heading in that direction.
Yeah, and we have a little bit more time left. We got a couple minutes, about 5 minutes. But one thing I'm going to mention, I saw a tweet during this match, one of the picture-in-pictures. I saw a tweet from JD from New York talking about this match. And talked about how it feels more violent and vicious and more chaotic, I guess you could put it, than the NXT War Games matches, because those matches, while they were good, they didn't feel as violent until everybody got in the match. Nobody was bleeding in those matches, and it wasn't really a surrender or whatsoever. But I can tell you this, I don't want to sound biased here, but if I do sound biased so well, I like AEW War Games matches than I do NXT War Games matches.
Yeah, I definitely saw that tweet as well, and it's hard not to really agree with that. I mean, it brings up a great point. I mean, of course, we've loved what NXT has done with the War Games match and what all the crazy spots that have come out of that. I mean, it's resulted in some pretty great matches, but yeah, I mean, I definitely see where JD was coming from there when he made that tweet. Was with AEW, it's like they got right into it. Like Sammy Guevara, right out of the gates, he just jumped right across from one ring to the next onto Dax Harwood. I mean, the intensity was already right there the second the bell sounded. With NXT War Games, yeah, you really don't see the weapons and all the chaos really ensue until everybody's gotten into the match, and we start to see all the weapons in play. We start to see all the big crazy spots happen. But here it's just like full throttle, going right in, killing each other, and this is the type of feud that also calls for. I mean, you're in a big, monstrous structure like this in Blood Guts, and between two teams that absolutely despise each other in every way. Why wouldn't you want to go in there and be like, all right, I'm going to go ahead and start killing you now? Like, that's how you should be going into matches like this. So I definitely agree there. I think AEW is doing War Games the true way. They're doing it the better way. But I won't discredit too much NXT's War Games, because I do enjoy those. I have thoroughly enjoyed those over the past few years that they've done them, and so I won't give them too much discredit.
Yeah, same here. Ladies and gentlemen, that wraps up the Blood and Guts review here tonight on the Big Fight Field channel. I want to thank each and every one of you who tuned into the review tonight. Thank you so much. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. We just hit 400 subscribers. Hell, feels so good to say, man. 400 subs.
We did it, man. We did it. 400 subscribers. 400. Thank you so much, everybody. 400 subscribers. I mean, I knew we could do it. I knew it just took a little time, but we made it, man. And now it's on to the road to 500 for my boy Joseph here and for Big Fight Field. Thank you guys so much. I wanted to say thank you so much again for supporting me and Joseph, everything we do here on Wednesday nights, for all you lovely people out there that decide to tune in, hear what we have to say about AEW Dynamite, the best wrestling show of the entire week. I mean, it's a pleasure, man. I wouldn't want to talk about with anybody better than Joseph Collins, man, right there, the man, the head of the operation. And man, Blood and Guts, I enjoyed this review. I mean, another banger. We're coming out with bangers every week. Next week's gonna be another one. We got 3 title matches to talk about. 3 of them. 1, 2, 3. It's as easy as 1, 2, 3 right there, man. And I cannot wait to talk about it because AEW keeps on bringing the hits, just like we keep bringing the hits right here on Big Fight Field every Wednesday night. Thank you so much for 400. Let's get up to 500, then 600, and then so forth and so on.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I love the positivity from my man Wes right there. But be sure to subscribe. Comment down below your thoughts on the Blood and Guts show overall. Hit the like button if you like what you heard from us on the review. You can follow me on Twitter at Colin_Joseph. My man, where can they follow you on Twitter?
Oh, you already know, Big_West18 on Twitter. I tweet about NXT Tuesdays, Elevation Mondays, and of course tonight AEW Dynamite. Big_West18, that is BIG_WES18, giving you the best tweets of the week about wrestling. Same with Joseph Conley, he's giving you the best tweets. We're both giving you the hot takes. We're both giving you the facts. We're both giving you the truth right here on the podcast, on Twitter, everywhere you look. So go follow us, go support us, keep liking, keep commenting, keep subscribing to Big Fight Field. You already know.
Ladies and gentlemen, we will see you next Wednesday for the AEW review, and I will see you tomorrow night for the 2-part Brian Pillman Dark Side of the Ring documentary review. Have a good night, stay safe, and as always, stay classy.